So hello, and welcome. I'm super excited today to introduce you to an intuitive healer. Of course, that's right in our, perfect place to be in this decade, in this year, in this century. We certainly all need healing. So Sonia, why don't you just tell me a little bit about what attracted you into your world?
Attracted is an understatement. I am a third generation shaman and healer. And so I learned from a very young age that spirituality is the norm. But not only that, I grew up in a Buddhist monastery. So I come from very strong spiritual roots. And so that's why I kind of chuckled when you said what attracted you. I was born into it. And when I took a detour and spent 2.5 decades in corporate, Spirit just said, you know what, it's time, Sonia, it's time to come home. And so I
Nice.
finally returned back home after building tech companies, building platforms, apps, just working with really powerful CEOs. And what I noticed that they need the most is healing.
I'm like, don't we all?
Yes.
Um, when you start working with someone who needs like different layers of healing, right? Like maybe past lifetimes or maybe childhoods or maybe, bad relationships. Kind of what are some of the starting points? What are some of the things that you're gonna kind of begin to want to understand as you get started?
Yeah, so the way that I work, I really love investing in someone's long-term healing journey. And so I don't go straight into past life regression. It really is about creating a safe place for that person to heal. And that's what makes a good healer a great healer. So when I'm working with someone, I really want to understand what they stand for, where they at in life, and where they want to go. And from there, we craft a journey that really speaks to them. So, for example, last night I had a conversation with a tech CEO who has been through a lot of trauma to the point of not feeling safe in his own body. And instead of jumping straight into psychic work or quantum meditation, I said, why don't we just drop into understanding one another? What are your belief systems? And nobody had ever asked him that question. So we had a really nice dialogue for about ten minutes. And I said, so what drives you? And in these questions, I get to know them a little bit deeper. And he says, you know what drives me is survival. And we went a little bit deeper, but what I gathered was this person really is just looking to feel safe. Aside from the psychic work, aside from hypnosis, this person needs to feel that they can just be in a safe place, regardless
Mm,
of the work that we're doing. And so that's kind of how I approach healing. It's not
mhm.
a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Let's get you in 60 minutes later, boom, see you next session. It really is about creating that long-term relationship. So I know that's more than you asked for, but that's how I
Tell me,
work.
tell me one or two successes where you work with someone and, obviously confidentially, no names or anything, but
Mhm.
tell me one or two things that happened that made you go, "Oh, wow, this is really awesome."
Yeah, this is a common pattern with the people that I work with, executives, leaders, visionaries, entrepreneurs. They are caught in a cycle of, and I'm just going to generalize, they're caught in a cycle of doing the thing day in, day out. And so I had an executive come to me who was just completely burnt out. And the relationships in her personal life were not quite where she wanted them to be. And so she came to me and I, again, had the conversation and I was like, okay, so what would you like to do now? And she was like, why don't we just do a healing? And I like to give people the power. So we did the healing session and I said, I'm not here to convince you of anything outside of your belief system, but I'm going to go with what I believe in. Is that okay with you? And she says, yes. So we're doing the session and I saw her Palladian family come and greet her and greet me. And it was the Palladian king and queen. And
Mm,
they spoke very formally and said, before you is our princess. Thank you for greeting her. And I started channeling on the spot. And so I'm explaining this to her. And she's like, I don't know why I'm crying. I said, don't worry about why. Let's just keep going. And so I cleared some of the energetic blocks in her system. And she's like, Sonia, tears are falling down my eyes. What's happening? I said, let's keep going. There's a lot of work that we need to do. Let me energetically align you. And I said, real or imagined, let's just trust the feeling. And she goes,
Mm.
okay. So all of a sudden, I'm doing the work, and she's like, Sonia, I'm feeling this weird sensation in my belly. And I said, yes, open your eyes, look at what I'm doing. And I was doing this kind of like bouncy basketball motion. And I said, look at what I'm doing. And she goes, oh my God, that's what I'm feeling. And so at the end of the session, she said, I have never experienced anything like that before. It opened her eyes to a new paradigm. Real
Mm.
or imagined, it had a very profound impact on her. And it shifted her belief system to being mundane to
Right.
being powerful. Now, she went on to have a great love in her life. She went on to step into a more powerful position in her career. And that's just one of the few success stories that I have. People shift. And that's what they're looking for is something new to believe in beyond their ego,
Yeah.
beyond their mundane.
I
And
had I had a guest I had two different galactic astrology experts on this year, and I'd never even heard of that term. Like, before I met them, I wouldn't have known when you said Palladian, like, that wouldn't have meant anything to me, right? Like, because 'cause I've never really studied that whole field, but it was fascinating to me, and then we did some work on it was just I love learning about things that are bigger than us, right?
mhm, yeah.
Yeah, it's so exciting. Well, Sonia, thank you so much for coming. This went by super fast. If we want to reach you or get in touch with you, how can we do that? How can we find out more?
Yeah, my website is sonyalee.io. So let me spell that out. It's SONYALEE and then .io.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you.